All right, welcome to another review. I am Dave, your host, your instructor extraordinaire. Good to be back. Today we're talking to Devon Wynn, okay? Now, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. You submitted a play-along from the 30-day drummer course, and the things you wanted to work on are technique and tempo and bass. Okay, I'm imagining that's bass drum, not bass guitar. So you said, I'm playing the 30-day drummer song. I would like the instructor to focus on my techniques. If I'm holding the stick right, if I'm doing the right content or correct wrist motions, is my foot positioned correctly, etc. So it's a broad kind of review, which is great. It's always good to get a check-in to see if you're doing things right. Bad habits can develop. And I've had many in my life and I had to fix them. Some of them took over a year before I realized I was doing things wrong. So it's always good to do these even if they are check-ins. But let's check out your video playing the 30-day drummer song, and we will chat about it after. Heck yeah. Okay, so first off, great lighting in that room. Nice setup. I can tell you got a decent setup because of just the way you're approaching the kit. The snare's not too high, hi-hats are in a good spot, your elbows aren't out. Nice height of the throne too, your foot looks nice. Okay, we'll talk about your foot technique probably the most of this video. I'm glad you put the foot cam in there. Really, really appreciate that. Just listen to that, guys. Like if you close your eyes, turn your head away from the monitor, just listen. Sounds fantastic. I'm really impressed with your timing, buddy. It feels good. Like, I don't know if you can see, but like I'm bobbing my head. Heck yeah. Okay, and I see you're going open style, which is cool. I like it. You know, it's great to start there. There's so many benefits to open style. I kind of wish I started there, but I'm a crossover drummer and I will be for life. Nice job. Okay, for those who took the 30-day drummer course, is that song just like an ear like worm right now? Is it like, where, you don't want to hear it anymore because you've been playing it so much? Still love the tune though. Okay, so let's talk about just your overall playing. I mentioned already, man, your timing's great. Your focus is right. It's on the right parts. Like you can tell you did that course correctly, and you did it. Like that's probably one of, in my opinion, like one of the perfect outcomes for a drummer if that's where you started. But I think it was great. You're sitting great. I didn't say anything really too wrong with your grip. I'll talk about that a little bit here. So we pull up my notes. But what I really wanted to talk the most about is foot technique, because that's my jam. And I did see a couple things that I want to bring up. But before we do, let's talk about your grip, all right? I have a lesson that I share with a lot of beginner to intermediate drummers. I think even advanced drummers should check it out, but it's Rob Brown's Fix Your Match Grip. I mean, I probably one out of every two of these reviews I throw to because it's such a good lesson. 15 minutes, but just on like why you should have correct grip and how you should make these small little adjustments. Now you're in the beginner stages, right? So you're not like expected to have perfect hand technique. No one is. Even intermediate still struggle with this. And I don't think you're like an anomaly where it's like, man, your technique is so bad. It's not. It's actually pretty good. You got a nice loose grip. Like I said, like you were hitting the notes in time, which means you had control of your stick and when the velocity and the time that you left or you threw your stick down and hit the cymbal. So that stuff's all good. But I want you to check that out anyway because there's always fine-tuned adjustments you could be making. You can always get a better relationship with your hands and your stick. I didn't throw this lesson in here, but it's always good for everyone. No, I did. No, I didn't. 30-day single stroke roll challenge is always good. Don't worry about doing that. No, I should do it. Of course, why not? Absolutely. Everyone should do a 10-minute single stroke challenge. Not a big deal. There was nothing that I pulled out of that song in terms of like your fills are wrong, you know, your timing was a little bit off here. There wasn't any of that. So all that's good. Push yourself to another song. Try some cool different beats in there. You know, that's just like a playground, that track, right? You don't have to do what Domino told you to do. Once you are able to do that, like try just doing stuff like this, you know? Whoops. some of those things might be a bit tough for you, but I'm just kind of exploring around. I'm playing some fills, and just have fun with it. Use it as like a playground for you to explore and try new things. Let's talk about the bass drum. Now, I'm going to see if I can pull up a screenshot of it here. But the one thing I'm going to talk about here is your, yeah, here we go. Let's see. Okay, so right here, if you look at your foot, what I'm noticing is that your heel isn't on the footboard, right? You're playing, I'll actually even play it. Watch your heel never kind of lands on the footboard, which is fine, but watch what's going on. Now watch your body whenever you kick. You kind of lean in. All right, you can see that? So this is, first off, you're hitting the note right, it's in time, and you're not letting your bass drum beater bury into the bass drum. So all things are good, but what I'm seeing is that you're leaning whenever you play the bass drum, and you're constantly kind of hovering your leg. If you have your bass drum pedal like this, right, and you don't have your heel up, so you don't have your foot planted, so you have to keep it up. So you either put it down here or you rest it on the pedal, but you rest it on the pedal and the bass drum hits the beater. That's what I do. On electric kit, you might get a couple strokes you don't want, so you're not bad in keeping it off the beater. Plus, there's that whole debate about, hey, should you bury the beater or not? We're not talking about that right now. All I'm saying is that right now, you don't have your foot down, okay, and you also don't have your heel down. So when you're putting your foot on the middle of the pedal, you're hovering it there. And the beater is kind of sitting right here. It's not all the way back and it's not on there, it's like right here. So what that means is that you're constantly keeping your foot up, right? You kind of have it half planted. Now, there are people that can do this, and I've seen all sorts of foot techniques that people make their own. So it's like, I don't want to be the guy to say, don't ever do that. It's not going to work for you. But I'm going to say that the chances of you running into fatigue, the chances of you, having to like lean forward every time you play. Imagine when you start playing like triplets and like double strokes on your foot, and you start playing with more power. This is going to become an issue, and you're going to feel like there's some tension there. You might feel it in your hip flexor. You might feel it like after a long session, just doesn't feel good. That's because you're hovering. When you hover, you don't have both feet planted, and you're constantly in this balance of keeping your body upright, your core connected, right? So my recommendation for you is to check out, I have a course for you called Walk Before You Run. It's by Gil Sharon, amazing foot technique and foot exercise course. It's a longer one, right? Multiple videos. Do yourself a favor and go through it. The other one I have here is the 30-day, sorry, not 30-day, it's my bass drum boot camp. It's the beginner bass drum boot camp, because I want you to really push your foot, okay? I want you to figure out your foot. And the boot camp's gonna show you, okay, it's like 23, 24 minutes long. If that one's too hard, there's an absolute beginner's bass drum boot camp too you can check out, but I'm gonna push you on this one. But you're gonna figure out if that is okay of a technique for you. I would recommend, after going through Gil Sharon's course, you choose either heel up or heel down, and you play with your feet planted somewhere. Hovering it's not going to be good. So if it's heels down, put your heel, which is fine, or even if it is heels up, you can still rest your heel on your actual footboard of the pedal, so you're not hovering. If you're doing heels up, like me, sometimes I literally just keep my bass drum planted into the actual head, right? And I'll fight anyone who wants to argue that with me. Or you can put your toe on the footboard as well, or on the base of it, like on the bottom, so you're not actually connected to the pedal at all, right? So to me, it's like one or the two, right? But the idea here is you want to make sure that you're not hovering your foot, okay? Because you want that control. You don't want to feel like you're pushing. Like when you push your bass drum down, you don't want to feel like you're leaning in, right? You want to be able to, I'll just turn this off. So notice how I wasn't hovering, I wasn't moving. I was planted. I was able to play lots of notes in a row. I was able to play triplets. You know what I mean? It's like I just didn't have this movement there. So your foot technique is probably the biggest thing I would focus on right now. Your hands, you're always going to be working on your hands. I know that everything you do, you're going to be using your hands a lot. I'm sure you're going to take the 30-day single stroke roll challenges I recommend to most people. I'm sure you're going to watch the Rob Brown Fix Your Grip. What happens with a lot of drummers though is they ignore their feet because, hey, well, my hands are most important. It's so not true. Your foot is just as important, and that's why I'm going to get you to talk about or focus on your feet. But other than that, man, everything else was solid. You're in a great spot. The world is your oyster now. Where do you want to go next? There's tons of songs you can play after going through the 30-day drummer. There's lots of exercises and building your vocabulary and technique you can learn. The key here is to push yourself, find a couple small goals, maybe start with the bass drum boot camp, see if you can get to the end of that and go from there. But I'm going to leave it at that. The links are below if you want to check it out. I'm calling this one Tighten Up Things with Technique because you're at a great spot. I just truly believe it's time to tighten things up to get better sound and better control. You always have this balance, you know, I call it the pyramid. Your ears, your mind, and your body. Right now, your ears and your mind are great. I think your body needs to kind of elevate itself a little bit. But we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. And leave a comment below if you have any questions. David@drumeo.com. You can always email me as well. Okay, bye-bye.